All right. Good morning, guys. So I decided to do kind of like a pantry, fridge, freezer kind of challenge. Just to use up some stuff that I have in the fridge and stuff. So I seen Kim off the Wads do that this recipe this morning. So I decided, oh my gosh, I have all of it. So let's make it. So she took apple pie filling and she put it on the bottom of a cake pan. And she kind of just spread it out. I wonder if this would be better on a 9x9. It'll be fine. She had pork chops. I had a roast out for tonight. So that's what I'm going to be using. I'm just going to slice it. Ugh, I made a mess. So I'm just going to slice this here. And then I'm going to be adding onions. I'm just going to get these in here. Let's take this chunk off and set it in there. And look at these. I'll just get this all in here like this. And then I'm going to throw on sliced onion. You can see the last of my potatoes or tomatoes from the garden are sitting back here. So I'm going to be doing some more salsa. Alright, and then she made a box of stuffing. You just follow the microwave recipe. And then she kind of just smeared that over the top. I think she said like bake at 375 or something for like 45 minutes. I don't know. Mine, I'll check my pork after 45 minutes, but mine probably is going to take a little bit longer for the fact they're thick. So yeah, that's kind of the plan for this video. is just going to use what I have in my cupboards or in my pantry and my fridge and stuff like that. And this is my first recipe. Good morning, guys. If you're new here, my name is Carrie. Today we are going to be making some homemade soup. I have to get my bread rising faster. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put about 2 cups of water into the microwave and I'm going to boil it. And then I'm going to just open the door, put my bread and my dough in the microwave and let the steam warm it up. So first I'm going to start by boiling these noodles. I get them in the frozen food section at Walmart. Most grocery stores or whatever have them. I'm going to boil them in a separate pot because I have found adding them to your soup pot makes your soup really, I don't know, it's like thick. I'm not a fan of it. So I boil them till they're just about done and then I'll drain them. So I'm going to open up 2 quarts of my bone broth. This is what your bone broth is going to look like after sitting for a while. It's got all the collagen and everything in it, and that's what makes it really delicious. Then I don't have any frozen corn for some reason. These are the carrots that I have prepped. I'm bringing in closer here. That I've already prepped for the, well, when we were doing, I think, our bone broth video. So I'm just going to throw them in, pretty frozen. So I'm going to open up a can of whole kernel corn, but I'm going to add the juice and everything. And then I cut off, this is my already prepped celery. So I'm going to just reseal this bag. So we're just going to throw in some celery. And then I have frozen corn as well, or peas. You can add the bag of frozen veggies that have like the carrots, corn, green beans. Then I'm going to slice up an onion. I don't know if you guys have watched that guy that pronounces it oil. So every time now, I'm obsessed with that video. So every time now I say onion, I kind of want to just go oil. It's a French cook, I think. I don't know, it's funny. Okay, oh, we gotta turn our water down or we're gonna have a mess. So the water is not boiling yet. I'll put it in a few more minutes. Or for some reason, when I say jalapenos, I want to say jalapenos because it's just kind of, I don't know. I've been saying it like that now, and it's kind of almost what naturally wants to come out of my mouth. Alright, so we have our onion, celery. You can add whatever vegetables you have in your fridge or freezer. You can add canned vegetables if you want. The weather is getting cooler now here. I don't know if I said that I live in Minnesota, but it's gonna, today and tomorrow are gonna be the last really warm days. And by warm, it's 81 degrees. But then we're dropping back down to 63, and that's 63, 65 for a while, hopefully. And that's kind of where I prefer it. So, throw that away. Oh, my water is boiling. So, now that the water is boiled, I'm just going to put my bread and my pan in the microwave, shut the door, and I'm just going to let it do its thing. It's just making pretty much just a proofer, and that's just to get it rising enough so I can get it baked and then have it cool down in time before we eat it for supper. Alright, so once this warms up a little bit, then I'm just going to add whatever seasonings. So I know I'm going to probably be adding parsley, so I'll get that out. Probably using some Tony's Creole. Garlic and onion powder are always, and I might go in with, I might put some celery seed or celery salt in it. Probably what I'll be doing here. Thought I had gotten another celery seed, but apparently I have not. Noodles I do not rinse. These are an egg noodle. Oh my gosh, my chicken. How... That would have been funny. I'm making chicken noodle soup and I forget literally the meat. Alright, so in my container I have the chicken that was left over from supper over the weekend. So we're just going to pretty much just slice it. And chop it so we don't have too big of chunks. There's a bone. That would have been wonderful. So we're just going to hack it, throw it in our soup, and I kind of go through it quick to make sure I didn't forget any other bones. You do not want bones in your soup. I'm just going to rip it apart. Alright, so chopped chicken in the soup. So I'm basically going to bring this, it's starting to simmer now, so I am going to turn it down to low, and I'm going to let this cook and just kind of mesh all together for, I don't know, hour, hour and a half. And that's it. This is really easy, but It's really good. And this is something that I make several times because with the bone broth and stuff, even when my grown kids still get sick, I will make a big, like, usually I'll double the recipe and make a big pot of it, and then I take some to them. And it's just, the bone broth is what's excellent. All right, let's get it tasted and see what I'm gonna need. Definitely need salt. I'm gonna use Lawry's. I did not add any salt to my bone broth because I typically don't. If I do add anything, it's the broth powder. You can use Better Than broth. It comes in a glass jar. It's definitely my favorite, but it is very expensive. So if I am making this to bring anywhere, I typically will buy that because I do like the flavoring of it. But for cost-effective purposes, this is what I get, the broth base. And we're gonna do some pepper. Stir it up, and then we'll taste it again. I try eyeballing it so I can tell you guys kind of, I would be frustrated too, you know, if I was watching someone and they're just like, well, a little of this and a little of that. But I really, honestly, you guys, I don't measure. I kind of eyeball. If something asks for 1/3 of a cup, it could be a little more, it could be a little less. All right, let's taste it. That's very, very good, just worth that. And with the bone broth, it really doesn't need much because we've already, I should have that video posted. And I don't have any bones yet because I haven't made any big whole chickens, and I like to have several kinds of bones, so typically I will use chicken bones, bones from T-bone steaks. If I have a ham bone, I also save them, throw them in my bone broth, and then all my veggie pieces. And my actual bag of veggie scraps is getting pretty full. So I'm going out to mow, but I was going to show you real quick what an hour in the microwave, well, with the boiled water, how much that rises your bread. So I'm going to be baking this at 350 for about 20 minutes. Just thought you'd like to see. All right, we're going to do a quick cooking video. It's almost 10:30 at night, and we need to cook something for my husband to take to work tomorrow. So we are going to do homemade scallop potatoes and ham. So we're going to cut some potatoes. I'm only going to do a 9x9 casserole dish. This is what I make a lot of our meals in, because it's enough for just a few, before 4 meals. So if you have a larger family, you can use a cake pan. Cut some of these up. So what I'm going to do, what I found works best, is boil the potatoes until they're softer, not till they're done. We're going to boil them. And we're going to make a roux in here, but we're going to cut up ham that I've saved from Easter. I vacuum seal it. And so now we're just going to chop some ham. We're going to throw it into our dish. Kind of bite-sized pieces. You can add onion or peppers, whatever you want. I'm just keeping it real simple. So in a skillet, well, a frying pan, you want to have pretty deep sides on it. You're going to put a half a stick of butter. And we aren't going to start this until the potatoes are done, because this step goes fairly quickly. So we can get everything ready here. And we're going to need roughly 2.5 cups of milk. So I'm going to get out, I've already thawed my milk from the freezer. So we will see here. Ooh, that is almost. Right. So this can stay in the fridge. We don't need it. So we'll have to either refreeze it or cook with it. So we have almost 3 cups of milk, so we're going to have to do a little bit more butter. So I'm going to throw in about another tablespoon. Alright, so we're going to make our roux. So we're going to melt butter on number 2. You don't want to burn it. Our potatoes are finishing up. I need it. So we're going to melt this. And this particular recipe freezes well. So if you do freezer meals, I would freeze this in the quart vacuum seal bags. That's what I do when my husband goes on his hunting trip with his dad out of state, is I freeze the meals in the vacuum seal bags, and then they're still frozen when they get to Nebraska. And then they can just boil water and throw the bag down in there to heat it. And that's how they warm up their meals. And this freezes very well. I've had this frozen in the freezer for a few months and taken it out, warmed it up, and it tastes very good. So if you do decide to make a bigger pan of this, to have some in the freezer for a quick meal, it works perfectly fine. So we're just slowly melting the butter. You do not want to melt butter too quickly or it burns, and I mean, I would still eat it, but it's not favorable. Then, when this is melted, you're going to take, so you take your half a stick of butter, and which is 4 tablespoons. Then you're going to add 4 tablespoons of flour. And this is, I'm going to do a little bit more because I did have extra. This is also how I make my gravy when I do sausage gravy over biscuits. Or if you want to do just a white gravy, this is my recipe. So my basic gravy recipe is the half a stick of butter, 4 tablespoons of flour. You want to cook the flour for at least a minute to get rid of the flour flavor. You do not want your gravy to taste like flour. So if I was just going to make like a chicken gravy or use my bone broth, you would only need 2 cups of broth. But because this is using milk, it gets really, really thick, especially with the potatoes. And we are going to add cheese to it. So it gets really, really thick. So you need to add at least 2.5 cups of milk. And remember, the key is to cook the flour to, you know, not burn it, because it does not taste good. So if you were, like I said, if you were gonna do chicken or beef gravy, you would add just 2 cups of broth. And you can either make it with the broth starter, the powder that I use, or the Better Than broth paste, which is my favorite, but it's very expensive. And that I would just make 2 cups of hot water, and then I add the powder to it. I start out with about 2 tablespoons worth, and you want it a little on the salty side. And that way you don't have to add much seasoning to it because it's already in there. So you basically just have to add pepper. So now that this is starting to boil a little bit, it's good to go. So you're going to add in your 2.5 cups of milk, and you're going to crank this heat, and you are going to stir. And once it starts bubbling, it's going to thicken very, very quickly. This is when I would add my seasonings. So for this particular seasoning, I am just going to do, we're going to do some Tony's Creole, because we like it a little spicy. We're going to do some pepper, and we're going to do onion and garlic powder. And that's pretty much it. You can add any type of seasoning. I might add some parsley. Any kind of seasonings you like. Pretty much add parsley and everything. Alright. So now we're just going to cook it until it starts to boil, and it's going to thicken pretty fast. So that's my basic gravy recipe. I've tried different recipes. This is what works best for me. It's just really, really easy to remember. 4 tablespoons of butter, 4 tablespoons of flour, and then 2 cups of broth. But if you're doing a white gravy, do at least 2.5 cups of milk. And then you could, you know, like fry your sausage. I make my gravy right with sausage, I don't remove it. And then serve that over your biscuits. And if you guys are curious on how I make my biscuits with my rendered down lard, I can do a video of that. But I kind of just thought I would show you a couple really simple recipes, and you can modify it to however you like. I do add onions and peppers and stuff like that to this sometimes, but since it's 10:50 at night, I just figured I'd keep it really simple, and this is an excellent recipe. Alright, so check our potatoes here. Oh yeah, they're... So we're going to drain the potatoes. And we're going to add it to our ham. I have this going on high right now, but you want to make sure you stir, because you do not want to burn your milk. If you're nervous about burning your milk, turn it down. It's just going to take longer, and I have no patience. I'm a very impatient person, which is funny considering I have 4 kids, but maybe that's why I do things quickly, is because I had 4 kids to feed. So you can tell now that it's getting really thick. So I'm going to let it go a little bit longer, and then you're going to shut the heat off, and we're going to grab our cheese. Before we add the cheese, it's going to be the time, that's like really nice and thick. It's going to be the time to taste it, because if you need to add more seasonings, now is going to be the time to do so. Alright, so now that it's starting to boil, we're going to shut our heat off, and we are going to grab our shredded cheese. Now, I get mine in bulk at Sam's, so I take it down into small Ziplocs. This one. And we're just going to add in, I typically would add in roughly probably a cup, cup and a half, 2 cups. Depends on how much cheese you like it. I have IBS as well as a lactose issue, but I like to live dangerously. So now we're just going to whisk in the cheese till it melts, which I get the finely shredded. Sometimes I don't, but, and this sauce gets very thick. And we're just gonna whisk it in like so. Now we're going to add this to our potatoes and ham. And if you want to, you know, cut back on the cheese, that's fine. Add just a cup in. Like so. That pan is not fun to clean once. Let's tilt you down. And now you're just gonna stir everything together, and we're gonna pop it in the oven until the cheese browns up a little bit. Like, the potatoes are pretty much done. I've done it without doing the potatoes, and you have to bake that for a very, very long time. So I just started boiling the potatoes a little bit before throwing it in the oven, and it just works out better. So I'm gonna bake at probably 350 for, I'd say, I don't know, 20 minutes roughly, just to kind of let everything get some Batico in the pot or the pan. And then I'll show you the final product, and that's it. You can, like I said, you can add peppers, onions, vegetables if you want, corn, for like a frozen corn or frozen peas or whatever, or it's excellent just like this. It, you know, it's a really good hearty meal, and it feeds, you know, you can get 4, 5, 6 meals out of this. I usually do about, we'll do about 4 or 5 containers, depending, since I did have a little bit extra potatoes. So if you have bigger potatoes, I would only use about 3 large potatoes. I did, what, 3 large potatoes and I think a small one, and it's plenty, you know. And I have my ham already from Easter and Thanksgiving. I do not throw any food away if I can help it. It drives me crazy, the amount of waste. So we buy things that we're going to eat, and if we can't eat it, I find a way to preserve it. So, all right, I'll show you the end result when it comes out of the oven. All right, guys, so this is the final result. It's pretty simple. Hang on, I gotta put you back up on the tripod. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I just going to get it into containers, clean up my mess, put my clean dishes away because I will not be able to sleep with my sink having dishes in it. Alright, good morning. I just finished up tomorrow's video, and I haven't cleaned, well, I didn't do anything yesterday or today, so I was going to kind of show you what I need to get done today, and this is kind of like a typical morning routine. And then I thought I would do a quick little clean with me video. I was going to show you. So if anybody cleans with bleach like I do, you get these bleach spots. And I just take a Sharpie. I found myself doing that today for the video, and I'm like, you know, I'll just do it on video. It takes a second to touch up the bleach stains. I mean, once you wash it, it's gonna go away anyway. You're gonna have to redo it, but sometimes, you know, it's just easier. Okay, so I'm gonna start supper in the crock pot. And what I'm making is white chili, and so I kind of thought maybe you guys would want to see it. So what you need to start out with is 2 chicken breasts, but I don't have any chicken breasts, so I'm going to be using chicken thighs. I put a crock pot liner in only for the fact that I am going to be using cream cheese, and I don't feel like scrubbing the burnt cream cheese out tonight, so I'm just going to do a liner. So I'm going to put my chicken in. And there's roughly 4 thighs in there. Okay. So, I'm gonna need a cup of broth, but since I only have pints of bone broth, I am going to, and that's 2 cups, I'm just gonna make a little bit up with my chicken broth base. So you're going to need hot water, and we're going to need a cup of this. I'm going to start with, I want it a little bit on the salty side. And you're going to need hot water so that it dissolves. Fall's finally here. I think the high today is going to be like 63. Alright, that's going to go in. Okay, next it calls for 2 cans of beans, but I don't, unless it's Bush's, I don't really care much for canned beans. So I buy this 15 bean soup, and it comes with a seasoning packet, but I am going to save that. I soak the whole bag overnight, and then I split it into 3 servings. So I took like a third of it out, and then I vacuum sealed the rest of the beans into 2, these are pint bags, so I can make ham soup this year, well, over the winter. So this is what the 15 beans look like. It's just, so I'm just gonna dump that in. If you do use canned beans, I think it called for Great Northern and then like a white chili bean, and then just make sure that you drain and rinse them. Alright, so next you're going to need 1 can of Rotel, and we are not draining the tomatoes. we're just going to dump, oh, I didn't get it completely open, which is fine. We're just going to dump the whole thing in. One can of whole corn. We are not draining that. This is really simple, and since my stomach's been kind of a mess, I think it's new medication that I'm on, I'm just not feeling like cooking. So the whole can of corn goes in. And of course, all right. Okay, then it called for a tablespoon of chili powder. Oh, we better do the sprinkle side. And I didn't do it anyway. So, and then it called for a packet of ranch seasoning. I don't buy it in packets because I use this ranch for like my roasts and stuff. I use too much of it, so I buy it in the bigger container. It asked, I think it was a teaspoon of cumin, teaspoon and a half. We're just gonna sprinkle some in. Okay, then it's 1/8 ounce of cream cheese cubed. And then I went and picked, I'm going to be slicing up an onion, or dicing an onion, I guess. And then I went and picked green pepper and jalapenos out of my garden. So I'm just going to slice it, and this is just going to be dumped in. Oh, what the hell? Okay. I'll probably add, it says you can top with like, I mean, whatever you top your chili with. Some people do cheese. I'm going to do some garlic powder, sour cream, onion powder, oh, I'm going to throw some pepper. I dehydrated some cilantro. I might throw some of that in. I haven't really decided. Okay, so let's chop up the onion. There we go. And I'm just going to do a quick tidy up. Show you my don't forget to save these scraps for your bone broth. Oh, let me get a bowl. I'll just get a bowl for all that. Probably won't be talking much through it. Basically, it's just kind of like what I do on most days. So it'd be like vacuuming my main bathroom. I'd stated in a couple other, I don't know, videos or whatever that I put 3 rolls of toilet paper out on the back of the toilet, and when those are gone, I clean my bathroom. Well, they're gone, so got laundry to do today. I bought a new vacuum, so I'm waiting. I think I'm going on 2 weeks almost since getting it, and it's been pulling a tremendous amount of dirt and dog hair out of my carpets. So I do want to, now that I can have my windows open, I want to get my carpet shampooed. So what was happening was my shampooer was pulling out, it was making mud pretty much. So I went and got a Bissell vacuum. I've always done Sharks, but for some reason this last Shark I got, I just wasn't happy with it, and I knew that it wasn't cleaning as well as it should be. And so I went and got a Bissell. And when I'm telling you, I was appalled at how much came out of my carpet and continues to come out of my carpet. Like, I have 3 dogs and 2 cats, and you know, 2 of my kids have dogs, and so they bring their dogs over, and you know, with my 4 kids, and then 3 of them, one's married, 2 are engaged. So there's a lot of people in this house. So I try to keep up on cleaning pretty regularly. I'm just throwing 4 jalapenos in. We'll see. My stomach is probably not going to enjoy it, but I ended up throwing up a little bit yesterday. I didn't eat much yesterday, so I'm thankful because my stomach was queasy, but I don't know if there's a flu going around, strep throat's going around. And I've been very lucky with not catching anything that's been going around, especially the last 2 years, if you catch my drift. Alright, I haven't even gotten that. So, let's throw our green peppers and, oh my gosh, I'm stuck. Sorry. You guys are probably like, what the heck? So I'm going to scrape this in. I'm going to set it on low. This goes into recycling. Alright, so that's pretty much going to be it. After it gets all melted together, I will taste it and see if it needs any salt or anything. It was pretty easy, so I'm gonna get a spoon, kind of stir it up a little bit. And then if I need to add a little bit more broth, I'll do that. So we're going to let that cook. We're going to leave the chicken down in there. And then right before I serve it, I'll pull the chicken thighs out and shred it and throw it back in. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of beans. I might add I'll probably add another cup. I could have just used a pint of bone broth, but that's going to be it for that. So let's... Alright guys, this is the final result of the white chili. Oh, we're steaming up. So I did not add any more broth. I just did the one cup of broth. I did not add any more because after cooking it was plenty. So I just went in with a little bit more Tony seasoning, and that's it. Well, I added some dehydrated cilantro that I had dehydrated already. This is why I use the crock pot liner. Granted, you wouldn't need to because you could just scrub it or soak it or whatever, but so yeah,